Yeah, it is, dude.
So,
So, welcome back to the Tech Lounge, episode 25. I'm joined by Kev. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Brian.
Yeah, that's it. Just you're doing great. Tech news. What do you got?
I'm doing fantastic, bro. Yeah, nah, just been getting through a lot of the backlog of videos. How about you?
Yeah, same, man. It's always a backlog, but I've been doing a lot of used stuff. A lot of the audience love that stuff, so I'm going to try and balance it out between the new and the used. We've got a Ryzen build coming as well. Looking forward to doing that. And of course, there's just so much to do before Computex. Like, there's another 2 weeks and a bit away from Computex, and there's just so much to do. So I've got to be so busy. But
Yeah, man. Yeah, I saw your video the other day. It was the used GPU ones. I couldn't agree more. The R9 290s and 290Xs now are such good value on the used card market. It's just
yeah,
crazy.
they're really nice cards. There was a few cards like people were like, what about 750 Ti and what about this card? It's like, guys, I mean, it's just my top five picks. Like, it's just what I would be looking for at the moment. And you could get 750 Ti's brand new for so cheap, so they're not really going to be that much cheaper than they are for their new original price that they were selling for. So, yeah, 750 Ti's, of course, they're a good pick. Any graphics card is a good pick. That's what I said in the video. Any graphics card's a good pick, depending on the price. It's always about the price. They were just my recommended picks on what's kind of not getting searched for a lot, I think, and they're getting sold a lot. So
Yeah.
they're kind of like the cards to look out for, as opposed to last time, like the 7970, I recommended those, but now everyone's looking for a 7970, or everyone's looking for this card, that card, and so there's not like just the competition for it. It's just like a little help video, really, for people who want to buy used graphics cards. It's not really like this is the best graphics card to get. It's just kind of like, nah, this is what I think a lot of people are selling, and this is what I'd recommend searching for, because I don't think a lot of people are actually searching for it. All about supply and demand, guys. That's how the world works, I think. So
Yeah, that is true. I think the other really good one for a time was the 280X or a 7970 gigahertz edition.
yeah,
I was seeing them go for really cheap, although they're getting a bit sort of ancient now, but
yeah. So
compared to the 290 anyways. But yeah, those are pretty good ones too.
yeah, and some of the recommendations, of course, come from the viewers as well, not just my recommendations. Like, I had someone message me about the GTX 460, and I checked it out, and it's like, yeah, these cards actually are being sold quite a lot, and they're really cheap. So for someone who wants to make like a CS:GO potato, that'd be an awesome way to go. GTX 460 for the win in that case. If they're 20, you can get them for 10, 15, $20. Great pickup. So, yeah. What about anything else? Like, anything exciting coming your way? I've actually got a 750 Ti here. Look at that.
Oh, nice. Blast from the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a video going up tomorrow that will be the 1600X versus the 6800K. So a core-to-core Ryzen versus Broadwell showdown. Not 8 cores, 6 cores, 12 threads on both sides. So that one will be quite interesting as well. Yeah, man. The 1600X will be interesting. The 1600 is definitely, so far with all my Ryzen testing, and I've tested every single Ryzen CPU that has been released, the 1600, for me anyways, is by far the best value. Like, I really like that CPU. If I was going to go to Ryzen, I'd probably go with the 1700 myself, just because I can, and I'd want those, slightly better render times and stuff. But if from a pure value for money point of view, that's 1600, man. It's a good deal.
Yeah,
really good deal.
Well, I think with the 1600 is that it's got that little bit of extra power, right? You've got those extra cores and threads there, and which most people aren't even going to utilize 6 cores and 12 threads. That would just be, I mean, bit of an outlandish statement, but I'd say a lot of, like, I could get by on a 1600. I know I could. After using the 8 cores, 16 threads here, I could get by on a 6 core and 12 threads perfectly fine.
Yeah,
it would be great, actually. It'd be a really good experience. I shouldn't even use get by. I mean, it's actually a great CPU. So that is the one to get for most people. That's just if you're getting into Ryzen. Like, I know people want the extra 2 cores and 4 threads that the 1700 offers over the 6 core, but are they going to be utilizing that? And I don't think a lot of people would actually be utilizing those extra cores and threads.
No, that is a good point, and I would say I was more speaking for myself personally, because, and of course you as well. I mean, we do a lot of productivity stuff, so that makes sense. But yeah, for the average user, yeah, you could probably still get away with something like the 1400 or the 1500X. But a lot of people talk about future proofing as well. I mean, people talked about that for like years. When the FX 8150 came out, everyone was like, bro, go to 8 core. Like, the games are going to take advantage of it. They just got to get, made for it. So after that, I was just like, yeah, nah, I'm not buying anything, because people say games in the future will take advantage of it. You just got to think about what's good right now. But of course, rendering and streaming stuff takes advantage of it.
Yeah, future proofing is one of those tricky things, right? You can look at the other side of the coin. In 5 years' time, your CPU is going to be worth a lot less than it is now. So what are you future proofing for? The fact that your CPU is going to be devalued? I mean, you just buy what you need for like the short term. Like, in the next year, are you going to be using this CPU to its limits? If not, maybe grab the 6 core. If you are going to be using all those 8 cores at 16 threads, grab that. Because, in a year's time, even Ryzen will have a refresh on their CPUs that'll bring overclocks, even better overclocks. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, damn, man, they're getting up to 4.5 gigahertz now. I want one. So that's just how it's going to be. So anyway, we got the first article here about Vega. Now, last week we talked about the time spy result. Now, another result's popped up, and this is the 3DMark Firestrike. Now, you've got the graphics score here, which is 17,800. And of course, this is, a lot of people are like, okay, this can't be true. It's fake. Especially last week's result. I pulled that up directly from the database. It was not fake. That was a real score from a real graphics card being loaded into the database. Now, of course, it looks like it's an early NJO sample, but we were talking about this before in the Linux drivers. It suggests, there's an article here from Guru 3D that suggests there's actually going to be 3 different SKUs of these graphics cards, and this is starting to make sense now. The one that we're seeing now, the C1 in the benchmarks, that's looking like the least powerful Vega card, right? I'd say it'd have 3072 shader processors or stream. That would be my guess.
Yeah, it could be, or it could be trimmed down in other ways, like the Fury X compared to the Fury Nano. That was trimmed down in terms of power more than anything. So yeah, this is quite interesting though. These results line up. It's where I think it should be, that the sort of least powerful Vega GPU will be made to go against the GTX 1070. I believe that will be it depends how AMD's doing the naming scheme, because it's so confusing, but the Vega 10, I believe, will be the smaller one to go opposite to Polaris, and the Vega 11 will be the big one. But we don't, or they'll use a different name like Vega 10 Pro or Vega 10 XT or something like that. We don't know. It's all speculation at this point. But yeah, that one, it seems about in line. It means it'll be with probably with proper drivers, it'll be on par with the 1070. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, of course, we're looking to the full power ones to see where they lie. So it's all speculation right now. But all of this just adds to something I've been saying for a while, is that I think that lowest tier one will be on par with the 1070. And then the full power one will be between a 1080 and a 1080 Ti. That's honestly where I think it's going. I don't think it'll beat the 1080 Ti. I don't think it can be that powerful. But well, the die as well. Did you read that? I think that was in
500
the
millimeters
article.
Squared. Yeah, it's a big
die.
It's
going
to be huge. Yeah,
that's big, guys. If you don't really understand that, that's a big and technically. Bigger isn't like that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be really, really good just by itself, but it's a good indicator of a powerful GPU.
And how much heat that thing's going to put out. I mean, this is on 14 nanometer too. If that's 500 mil squared, that's huge. So, I mean, the thing is, right, this is looking like an NJO sample loaded into the database, which is at 1200 megahertz clock speed. So reportedly they're going higher, right? 1400 megahertz. So you pull a bit of extra performance out there, new drivers, of course, but it's looking like this lower SKU will go against the GTX 1070, like you said. I think you're right there. Will the Will the biggest one? I mean, you've got an extra 1,000 stream processors. I'm guessing this is just all guesswork too, guys. Take everything we say with a grain of salt. It's just me and Kev just shooting numbers.
Yeah.
Speculation. I mean, a lot of you guys love to hear it
Speculation.
too. Yeah. The biggest card, right? We're looking maybe at what, a GTX 1080 in performance. Like they don't have any. They don't have. This is looking like it's not. They're not going to have an answer to the 1080 Ti. That's all. That's just me.
Yeah, I
looking at these
imagine
numbers.
it would. Yeah, because people are saying that one will have about a 1200 megahertz clock speed. The full power one apparently is going to be closer to like 1.56 gigahertz. So
No, that's too much. I think I think 1.5 max. I mean, dude, the Ryzen refreshes on 14 nanometer. I'm getting like, apparently I got the best overclock on 3D Firestrike with the 570, and that was 1.46 gigahertz. So
with the
where's the
scaling, well, that's what I was reading from that article. So that in theory, if it's got the extra stream processors and that extra clock speed, they're saying that through their own calculations on scaling, it would put it 7% more performance than a GTX 1080.
So you reckon when I pull the cooler off, I'm gonna have to put my sunglasses on? It's gonna be that hot. Wow, damn.
Yeah. I think that's what I told you. I mean, I said this like 2 weeks ago, I think. I said I reckon the most powerful Vega chip will end up being 10% faster than a GTX 1080, which still means that it's probably going to be about 20% slower than a GTX 1080 Ti, so 20 to 25% slower. Because the gap between, you guys have to remember, the gap between the 1070 and the 1080 is very small. By comparison to the gap between the 1080 and the 1080 Ti, that's like a 35% performance difference. So that's a much larger gap, and that's why I think that the full power Vega chip will be about 10% more powerful than a GTX 1080. From everything I've read, that's what I'm taking from it. But that still means there's a huge gap there to the 1080 Ti, which will stay on top as king. AMD will probably do some dual GPU craziness that will end up being the top powerful single card, but not the most powerful single GPU.
Well,
that's
I mean,
my prediction.
the thing is though, the 1070 and 1080 have already been out for so long now. Like that's the thing that bothers me. These cards have been out for quite a while.
Quite the jump though for Nvidia though. They're pretty revolutionary cards in terms of what we'd seen from them. This is probably the biggest jump they ever did from where I can.
Well, the 1080 Ti is a beast. I mean, that thing is absolutely insane, but. Yeah, it doesn't spell good for AMD, especially when we'll talk about that later with the stock prices and stuff like that, because this actually ties in with that being a big factor on their gross margins. So we'll talk about that soon. But we've got the so there's a Firestrike score there. So we saw there 17,800. I think a GTX 1070 scores around 20k. A 1080 should score around 24k. That's about the scores that I was getting, at least with the cards that I had. Overclocked, of course. I think overclocked or not overclocked, off the top of my memory, I don't know. But I always overclock my graphics cards anyway. You were telling me what, like 1% of people overclock their stuff. Like 1% of people who buy tech products overclock their gear.
Oh, that was Steve. But
okay,
but yeah, a lot of people overclock a lot more, I should say. People overclock their CPUs, but not many people overclock GPUs at all.
Wow. It's free performance, guys. I'll be doing, actually, that was one of, after I read these statements and read these comments as well, I'm going to be doing an overclocking tutorial for GPUs, how I overclock in 2017, because a lot's changed over the years. I can find a GPU overclock like that. It's so quick now to do. Heaven benchmark, afterburner, just quickly bash through the numbers until you get relative stability, then you're pretty close. Then after that, run some Firestrikes, benchmarks, and then of course, play some games. And if you can play games on that thing for an hour, your GPU overclock is relatively stable, and it's close to being 100% stable. So, anyway, and then of course, if you crash once in a blue moon on those settings, you just drop it down a little bit, dial it down a little bit, and you're good to go. Never had a problem with that. So I'll do the Tech Yes City method of overclocking your graphics card very soon. Yeah, okay. And now we got the Intel 7700K CPUs shouldn't be overclocked. Wow. In response to countless overheating complaints. So basically there was a problem with the 7700K where even on idle it would just boost out of nowhere to 90 degrees. Not really. I wouldn't call 90 degrees dangerously high though, and in all terms of science, I don't imagine how it could, like, if you've got a water cooler, like people on water loops are reporting these sensors going to 90 degrees. I'd say it's more a bug than anything, but it was Intel's response that bothered me a lot. This response here: we do not recommend running processors outside the processor specifications. Here it is here. Such as by exceeding processor frequency or voltage specifications or removing of the integrated heat spreader, sometimes called delidding. Actually, it's pretty much all the time called delidding. These actions will void the processor warranty. So basically, they're selling K CPUs that are meant to be overclocked. They even offer a, overclocker's warranty on their K CPUs if you pay an extra $20. And then they're telling you they shouldn't be overclocked. Yeah, I really don't get it sometimes. I mean, it's like marketing. It's like these companies don't communicate with each other sometimes. Like, oh yeah, the sales department. Oh yeah, the technical support department. Oh yeah, this department. I don't even know what's good. This is just such a stupid response, in my opinion. I mean, you're selling Z270 motherboards. You're selling K CPU. People are paying for the right to overclock already, which I disagree with. And then you're telling them they shouldn't overclock. You should just say, like, look guys, we've been looking into this, it appears like it's a bug, we're doing our best to rectify it. Unfortunately it couldn't be rectified, perhaps it can't be rectified, and we'll see what we can do from there. That'd be the best response. Of course, you're selling a K CPU, it's designed for overclocking. You don't tell people who have got custom water loops going on, who know how to overclock their gear and know that this shouldn't be happening on their gear, that they shouldn't be overclocking. You shouldn't tell those people that. So I'm just baffled by the response. It's
a bizarre thing that they've done this. And 90 degrees, as you're right, that's fine. People, I've said this time and time again, that people tend to, in our community, in the tech community, tend to think that temps will do more damage than they actually can do. 90 degrees is fine. My 4770K ran at 90 degrees for like 2 years and it was just fine.
Oh, dude, my laptop's balling at like 96 degrees, man.
People think like, wow, it hit 90 degrees once, my CPU's fried. It's like, guys, it doesn't work like that. I know many of you think that, but you've probably never had a CPU that's run super hot, and my 4770K ran ridiculously hot all the time, and at the same time I had an R9 290 in there that was used for Bitcoin mining, a reference one, and that sat at 95 degrees all the time when I was gaming. So
was it a stutter? Was it a stutter fest?
Smooth as silk, man. Not a problem.
I gotta see it to believe it. I gotta see that to believe it.
Oh, it was throttling. It was throttling. The 290 was. My CPU wasn't, because Intel CPUs only throttle at 100. So if you're sitting in the 90s, it's okay. But the GPU was throttling every now and again. But yeah, it was fine. Like, there was no problems there. So I think people get a lot more worried about. Again, at the same time, over time, they obviously won't last as long.
I'll tell you now, like, with the thermal, in regards to the thermal limits put in place, they are better than they've ever been. I would like to see someone try and kill a CPU deliberately on normal voltage. I don't think it could be done. Like, or it'd take a hell of a lot of effort, because I've tried it before.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it would be very, very difficult, and even then, it's actually a lot harder than people think. We're actually going to do a video like that on Playtech TV. We've just sort of put it on the back burner, but it was, can you destroy a CPU/GPU with just software, so not without actually physically hitting it or pulling it out or anything, or pulling a cooler off it in use? Could you actually destroy a CPU by just, letting it run super hot and leaving it like that, or overvolting it to the end of time, or purposely going out there and doing the worst things you possibly can to either, and seeing if we could break them. And we asked around a few people in the industry, and it seems like a lot of people actually said that, nah, you won't be able to.
It's pretty hard, man. Yeah.
The computer will just shut down or stuff like that. You'll obviously, yeah, it'll turn off and stuff, but you won't actually be able to damage it.
Yeah, my experience with that.
Protections.
Yeah, my experience with that is if you get the scenario where, for instance, your scenario where the whole case is so hot and then the sensor's hitting 100 degrees, for instance, it starts throttling at 100 degrees, but everything around that sensor is so damn hot too. That's when you're at risk of damaging your gear. Because the sensors, actually, if everything's cool and that sensor's just going to 90 degrees, that shouldn't be a problem at all. And that's why I say I think it's a bug more than anything, especially if it's happening in idle. Just doesn't make any sense. But it is actually very hard to kill a CPU, and I've tried before, trust me. The thermal trip, it just thermal trips. And even then, it can just sit at 100 degrees sometimes. It just sits there at 100 degrees. It's like, huh? Scratching my head.
Yeah, and you just see the clock speeds go down and down and down, the power go down and down and down until it starts dropping back from 100, then it'll go back up again, and that's all they do. So you'd be very you'd be very hard pressed. By 290, I remember the worst I ever saw it throttling, it went down to like 300 something megahertz, and that was the worst, because from the factory, I believe they would sit at around 900 or 950 or something, and yeah, that was pretty shocking. That would go down a lot, but no, you won't break them. But these are hot things anyway.
Paul Lilly says, I don't even have the major issue like everyone else is having. However, after Intel's response just now, they're not getting another penny out of me. I'm going to sell my Intel stuff and go to Ryzen. Hey, Paul Lilly, you want to contact us, dude? I'll buy you 7700K that has no problems for cheap. Like, hook us up. 7700K is still a really powerful CPU, and at 5 gigahertz, man, it is really damn good. So there's
the comment above is kind of AMD Bulldozer. Yeah, it runs hotter, but remember the thermal limit on Bulldozer was really low from memory. It'll thermal throttle at 65, was it? Or 75, it's a lot less. So, of course, it runs a lot cooler because there's nowhere near the thermal headroom. So that's not a very fair comparison. But okay, whatever. People just getting grumpy at Intel.
Despite the incredible risk, there isn't really any incredible risk though. Like, I think WCCF Tech, like, deleting your CPU, if you do it properly, like, especially if you use now even like something like Deborah's kit, there's like zero risk in that. Like, you know, the razor blade technique was the riskiest. I actually had a friend on Skype like, man, I can't get to a vice, I'm just going to do the razor blade. I'm like, I don't recommend the razor blade method, because I've just heard so many people have bricked their CPUs doing the razor blade method. On the Haswell CPUs, the PCB was really thick, so you could just put it on a vice. It was, I've never bricked a CPU doing that. I even damaged a corner on a CPU and it still worked. So yeah. There you go. So, okay, so next up is Intel's rebranding the Xeon line to the credit card naming scheme. So apparently the E5 and E7 titles were confusing to people. So they decided to go with Xeon Platinum, Xeon Gold, Xeon Silver, and Xeon Bronze. I don't know. Like, what do you think about the naming scheme?
Well, it's going to be much... I did struggle a little bit trying to understand the different names for everything in terms of the Xeon lineup, but yeah, it is a lot easier. The thing is that these aren't really made for the consumer market per se, in the sense that this is made for business, and most of those people are pretty onto it anyway, so you would imagine they probably wouldn't be getting exactly confused. But yeah, whatever. If they want to make it easier, that's good. So you have the E7s now become the Platinums. The E5s will then become apparently. Well, really, are they saying the Bronze?
Well, it's basically they're saying
what would the E3 be then?
Well, they're saying with the Platinums, right? This is how they're doing it. So you get hardware enhanced security. This is they have ECC support. They're basically for large corporations that need reliability. So hedge funds or whatever, finance institutions, they're going to be wanting to get the platinum. Then you got the gold, which, I mean, I'd imagine the gold would have very similar features to the platinum. I mean, if you're buying gold, you would expect ECC support. I mean, Xeons have always had ECC support. Every Xeon CPU, I'm pretty sure. So this is what's confusing me. Are they taking ECC support away from these lower SKUs on silver and bronze? And it's like, huh? That's what the Xeon line's always been about. Xeon's always been business. Regardless of how many cores and threads. Of course, you've had ones with no hyper threading on there that served a particular purpose. You've had ones with a huge amount of cores and threads. I'm just trying to understand where they're going here. Are they making it like okay, you don't need Xeon features now, but we're going to call it a Xeon Bronze anyway? That's sort of like confusing to me. So with the gold, they're apparently tiering that to machine like learning, like FPGAs, deep learning.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's also the servers that will be running with these CPUs. These new CPUs will have the feature called Intel Volume Management Device. All that basically means is you'll be able to hot swap the Optane's drives and 3D NAND based drives as well. So that's pretty cool. But I think this seems like Intel is quite worried. This is where they were making a lot of money, and with Naples very close by, I think they are a little bit worried. With Ryzen on the desktops, obviously that did worry them a bit, but if Naples does well and comes in at a very good price point to undercut them, because many businesses will look at that and just see it as a price saving. Yeah, that'll be very interesting. I think if Naples does well, that's going to actually bring in a lot more revenue for AMD than the Ryzen desktop PC CPUs would ever hope to achieve. Just because, if you guys don't know, they can charge so much money for these CPUs. Did they say what prices of what the platinum Xeons will be coming in at?
No,
what would you imagine? What would you guess it would be? It would be ridiculous, right?
Well,
It's a huge amount.
The best top of the line CPUs, they've always been in near $10,000. I think like they're ridiculously expensive. Of course, there's companies out there that just write them off on businesses and they don't care. Silver and bronze, I don't know what the difference is between these two. One's efficient performance at low power, while the others is aimed at entry-level servers. Isn't that the same thing? Like, so I'm kind of confused about what they're doing with this naming scheme and exactly how it'll pan out, but I think we'll report on it when we've got more information. Okay, but are we going to talk about this now, the big elephant in the room? The AMD stock prices, they dropped a lot, and we're talking like 20 to 25%, and on Monday. So they dropped down, huge drop here. Extreme Tech actually did a really good pull-up of the summary of what's going on, the figures that you really need to see. I'll give my 2 cents on this. I mean, I've never really touched stocks until after the 2008 financial crash, because if you guys were in that, you'll understand that things didn't make sense. There were stocks that were losing money beyond levels you've never seen before, and the credentials were still absolutely fine. The stock market never makes sense. So trying to say, okay, this stock shouldn't be going down, it's looking fine, the results were okay, they did roughly where they were expected to do or whatnot, and you're grasping at straws. Like, basically there's just a heap of hedge funds would have sold off a heap of this stock. They would have said, okay, the momentum's probably not as strong as we thought it would be, let's just sell all this and get our money and get out, move on to the next endeavor. The stock market's driven by a lot of short-term and medium-term gains. So if hedge funds bought this stock at $2, even $5, and they said the projection's pretty good, it gets to $15. They've made a heap of money. Now, hedge funds will leverage what? 4 to 1, 2 to 1 is probably a more safer hedge fund. 4 to 1, 8 to 1's the riskiest in terms of leverage on a hedge fund. If you're going over 8 to 1 leverage, then you will go broke pretty quickly. So you see there's these companies that are investing a huge amount of money. They've made their profit, they're just getting out. Okay? That's all it is. It's nothing more, nothing less. You can look at the credentials, but actually looking at the numbers, they are not healthy. Like AMD's, these numbers aren't healthy by any means. I mean, look at their gross margin. It's 34%. Now we compare that to Intel. We put up Intel's results. Same quarter, so quarter 1, 2017. Intel's gross margins are 62%. So Intel's almost making double the money off their sales than AMD is. So you can see with the problem here, AMD is a value branded company. They're selling, like, yes, they are offering competitive pricing. They are offering competitive products. But the problem is the competitor's making a lot more money off each sale than they are. And now as a business, they need to start getting these margins up. They know that. And the problem is, if they don't have a competitor, this is where it comes into play. If they don't have a product in the higher end of the market, where arguably the most gross margins are to be made, how are they going to compete with Intel or Nvidia? Nvidia's just killing it. 1070s, 1080s, 1080 Ti's. They're absolutely killing the market. They're making a heap of money off those graphics cards. You could see that. The Titan XP versus the 1080 Ti. Look at that, an extra $500. It's the same thing. There's $500 in Nvidia's pocket for nothing. So you can see there, the gross margins are real. Nvidia's making healthy gross margins. Intel's making healthy gross margins because they have the high-end products. And with that, it makes them look like a premium brand as well. So there's a lot more to the picture. But if AMD isn't making high-end products, then they're not going to be making a huge gross margin. I guess people are saying this. Okay, they've only got the value. You can only go so far with a value-driven company, especially since the stock is not a value stock either. It's a growth stock. They don't even pay out dividends. So when AMD's not paying dividends and they're not growing a whole lot, then you can see, I'd say even at this price, the stock could be overvalued. But again, I'm not going to speculate for you guys. If you guys are investing in stock, make your own decisions. Do not listen to anyone else when it comes to stock markets. You listen to yourself. If you look at the statistics and you think if it's a good buy, then buy it. If you don't think it's a good buy, then don't buy it. If you're going to be a sheep, you're going to lose money. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly.
And I think would
You're
you
gonna lose a lot of
say
money if
then?
you're a sheep.
Yeah, would you say then that you would think that Naples will probably help AMD the most in terms of helping that gross margin increase rather than something like Vega? Or do you think it'll be a mix of both?
It'll be a mix of both, of course. They're both the higher end products, right?
And more so on Naples, though. You'd imagine the margins there, because it is targeted at business and it is targeted at super high-end CPU market, would be a lot larger than what you'd expect out of Vega, which by the sounds of it is going to be quite, I mean, think like that die is going to be that big. It's going to be quite an expensive graphics card to manufacture to begin with.
Exactly. That's exactly right. You're touching on this, right? The more product they put onto it, and this is where it ties back in, and this is why people ignore power consumption like it's some stupid figure. No, it isn't. Power consumption ties exactly back into the product itself, and generally will give you an idea of how much that product costs to manufacture. So if it's cheaper to manufacture that product, in other words, it has lower performance per watt or better performance per watt, then it's going to be equal, generally, more gross margins. Like a GTX 1060, I guarantee you the actual hardware on that product is cheaper than an RX 580. Guarantee you. 110%. So NVIDIA is making more margins on a GTX 1060 sale than AMD is making on an RX 580 sale. And that ties in, again, the GTX 1060 has better performance per watt. So it's not a stupid figure. It's a great figure to look at. It's a very important figure. And it ties in with a lot of this. So Vega, how's that going to, again, 500 millimeter square die, you're looking at it, is that going to be a hard hit?
That'll be the interesting thing there. You would expect the markets will come up because Lisa Su, who's AMD's CEO, and I think she's doing the best job she can, given the
Oh, Lisa
situation of the
Sue's
company.
good. She's probably the best thing AMD
Yeah.
have had, to be honest.
Oh yeah, she's doing all right. So it's not her fault. People looking at her, I think she's doing the best she can. But she hasn't confirmed that Vega will be released by the end of June. So it's definitely coming. So I'd imagine these stocks will start to rise once again because, of course, all the rumors, speculation, and stuff that drives up stock prices, and
Okay.
and they will start to recover.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Are they going to recover? Now, Vega comes out and it's the same price. It's the same price as Nvidia's offering. Say, for instance, the lower Vega SKU comes out and it's the same price as the 1070. What do you think people are going to buy? I'm just going to ask you a question. What do you think people are going to buy? Let's be honest. Let's put it all out. You know they're going to buy the 1070 over the Vega card. Why? Because Nvidia advertises. When you advertise on, you've got Nvidia coming up there. Like half the games you load up now, Nvidia. That's associating Nvidia. And if you have, especially if you have a good time on that game, this is where it goes subliminal. It's called subliminal marketing. It goes deeper. That advertising is so powerful on a game's introduction, because if you enjoy that game, if you get that game, you enjoy it, you've now associated Nvidia with good. You haven't even thought, that's subconsciously. That's what's happening subconsciously. You've now associated Nvidia with good. Now, if they're the same price, what are you going to go with? Nvidia.
Yeah.
Like, it's a natural thing. It's like, this is, again, we only have a small audience, dude. We're like a little pissant in terms of the whole thing. There's so many people out there that just build computers, don't even look at YouTube. They just play games.
Oh,
and
yeah,
when
that's
they
the
see
vast majority.
Yeah, exactly. So they get on the game, they see an Nvidia logo, they have a good time on the game. They're like, okay, my next graphics card is going to be an Nvidia card. They're going to ask the person at the computer store, how do these perform? The price is roughly the same. Oh, they roughly perform about the same. Okay, I'll get the Nvidia card. That's just the general consumer, because Nvidia's marketing is so successful. And I've said this for years now. Nvidia, as a businessman, they're hitting all the right buttons, and they have been for years. So again,
oh yeah, they do, and they make you pay for it. But I think that there's a certain, I mean, not those people you're talking about, but there's sort of a lot of the enthusiasts or people that are more interested in tech. There is another sort of opposite mentality, which is people seeing AMD as like the underdog. They're like, wow, I want to support AMD. I want to keep them going. And those people go out and they'll buy the Vega GPU, even if it's exactly the cut down Vega. Even if it's the same performance as a 1070 and they're the same price, they'll buy it just because they want to try help AMD. They're like, oh, well, Nvidia is making heaps of money anyway.
Really? Like, this is what I mean. A lot of people say that. I've said that too. I do buy Ryzen. I do believe in Ryzen. But look at our Patreon accounts, dude. We're the underdogs in the tech scene, in the YouTube tech scene. We don't get much support. I mean, I love the people who are supporting me so far. I thank you guys a lot. But generally, people just buy what's best for them.
I think it's different when it comes to YouTube, though. Like, we are the underdogs, but then again, everybody is kind of like an underdog at some point or another. I would say if something bad had befallen us, then maybe people would like say Austin, for example, is someone, when his house burnt down and he lost everything. People
but that was different. That was a catastrophic event. That was different.
I know, but that was someone people. But then he, and he made like the videos and stuff, and he was like, I'm really kind of ruined now. And then the whole sort of community got behind him and was like, come on, let's prop Austin up. And then ever since then, he's taken off. I mean, he puts out great content. He does a really good job. But but that sort of support, I think, helped him. And now Austin's crazy, man. He got over 2 million subscribers. Like, that's a really good job. Yeah, Austin's doing really good, and he deserves it. Yeah, he's such a nice guy.
I'm just inferencing statistics. Okay, people are like, why are you mentioning? Yeah. Well, Patreon. Okay, I've got like something odd, under 100 Patreon supporters. Now, I inference that to the amount of subscribers I have. So these are the people who generally care and want to donate, even just $1 a month. I don't think it's that hard for people to donate $1 a month, but you inference those statistics, and you're saying, okay, people just, and that's the thing, I tell my viewers anyway, I don't really care. Like, if you guys want to support us. But it comes back into that thing of how many people genuinely want to support versus how many people just watch and enjoy the content. And that's all I want at the end of the day, is just hit on the like button. But you can see that statement of, I'm going to support AMD because they're the underdog. I'm starting to look at it, and I don't think people care. I just think people don't give a crap. They're just like, okay, I'm just going to buy what's best for me, and that's generally how it should be, I guess. You shouldn't have any, like, AMD are a company, and if they can't perform at the end of the day, it's not your job to prop it up. Like, again, there are people at AMD making good money. They're making good salaries. They should be donating their own salaries into the company if they believe in it so much. So it's not up to the average guy who makes a little bit of money every week to support AMD. It's up to AMD to support AMD. And I mean, just looking at why the stock price has dropped, it's a touchy subject. But again, I mean, I've never been the one to hold back. I'm just going to tell these numbers on the balance sheet, they're facts. They're released. They're fact now. They're still running at a loss. Net loss for the quarter is $73 million. This is a company that's not profitable, yet they're not paying dividends, and that makes them therefore technically a growth company. So they're a growth stock that's losing money. That, at the end of the day, I mean, that's, see it how you want to see it.
Just one thing you should explain quickly for people. Some people didn't understand.
Okay.
What's a hedge fund for those that don't?
Oh, okay.
Understand?
So a hedge fund's a group of, like, it's basically an elite investment firm. Just think of it as that. So they basically have their own,
like a pool of like a money pool.
Rich.
Is another analogy.
Exactly, it's a rich man's money pool where all the rich investors go to, and these guys are talented. The guys at these hedge funds are talented. They do a lot of dodgy stuff as well, manipulate markets. They basically go around. They got a reputation on Wall Street for being the guy who makes 20% year on year. They'll make a huge amount of money. People invest their money with these hedge funds. This guy is good. Invest your money with him. He'll take, I forgot the rates of a good hedge fund. I think they take 25% of the profits.
It's the 20 and 2 rule.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 20 and 2 rule. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, these guys will charge. Of course, they make amazing money, but of course, they charge amazing money too. And so with that, they pool a heap of money, and then they've got also power in the market as well. If a lot of hedge funds collaborate too, that's when you can see markets crash. So again, these guys, a lot of these guys are really smart. They're really switched on.
It's basically, you explained it really well.
They're much smarter than you and I. So.
They're pretty. So basically, it's like if you guys don't get it, when you pull money together, money makes money. The more money you have, the easier it is to make more of it. That's why wealth accumulates. So basically, it's like if you and 99 other people all pulled your money together, all put in $100,000 or $10,000, whatever it is. You pulled all your money together. You have what's called a hedge fund manager. So that's what Brian was explaining. These super smart guys that sometimes do dodgy things. You can go to prison for that though. So they generally don't, or you shouldn't.
Or they have a scapegoat.
Or they're just smart. There's people that do it legit. They're just smart people that can see the signs. They're proactive, and then basically with that money, they create. They make smart investments. They pay off. Say stock prices increase or something like that, and then they take some of it for themselves. But of course, then everybody gets money from it. Also, hedge funds can go bad.
Yes, 2008, a lot of them went under. The thing is, the banks themselves, this is where it all ties in. The banks themselves invest with hedge funds, so they're huge. See, the banks are like, okay, we want to make returns. Who's hot on the market? We'll go invest with this guy. He's making good returns. He's got a good whatever. He's got good algorithms set up to making money. There's so much more into it. It's pretty complex, but at the end of the day, hedge funds have a huge amount of money, and with that, they have a huge amount of influence on the market.
And that's what we see from those AMD ones, is that, as Brian said, which is quite correct, is that a lot of this wasn't a whole bunch of, say, individual people. I mean, there probably was quite a few super rich people, but, the average guy that may have invested $10,000 in AMD and sold it, that won't have, even if there's like 100 of him, that wouldn't cause this effect, this decline. It's where the big boys, those big hedge funds, when they start selling stuff, then you'll see a real domino effect.
Okay, picture this. The stock market's built up on winners and losers. That's what all it is. Now, if you buy a stock that's gone up from $2 to $15, if you buy that stock at $15, do you think you're going to be a winner? You've just made someone else a winner. That's all. You've just propped up another winner. That's all you've done. So either you've, like for me, like I said, I should have bought AMD stock at $2, but I didn't. So I missed the boat. I didn't touch it. And again, I just generally don't touch stocks in general. But yeah, if we look at Intel's results, of course, they are healthy. You see, they're making net income $3 billion. So Intel's doing pretty healthy compared to AMD's balance sheet. And that's what, at the end of the day, the numbers are here, guys. You can check them out for yourselves, make your own conclusions. But again, if you want to invest in stocks, look at the numbers yourselves and say, is this a good investment? And honestly, at $10 a share, we got here what? Revenue is not even $1 billion for quarter one. Revenue of Intel is $15 billion almost. So I mean, you've got here 15 times the earnings on one company versus the other, and one company's losing money, the other company's making money. So, and I mean, Intel's apparently hit a downturn in some areas. So I wouldn't, like, for me personally, I wouldn't be investing in AMD. That's just me personally. I mean, I know Ryzen's great, and I've been recommending Ryzen to a lot of people, but again, as a company, they got to pick it up. And if they're not offering, that's why I was disappointed with Ryzen. They didn't offer a flagship that would cost like $1,000, and it was incredible. They need to offer that $1,000 product. Same with Vega. They need to bring out Vega, and they need to have a hard-hitting product that makes good money for the company, and that people will be like, okay, AMD's back on top. So, anyway, probably move on to the next topic. It's it's sort of, it is in ways, it is a bit of bad news when you look at the numbers, just in my opinion. Of course, AMD have to pick things up with Vega. If they don't, I think that's going to be a negative catalyst for the company. Of course, Naples is going to be a really good thing. I hope Naples picks the company up. But again, the numbers are there, and they're not stellar numbers. That's all I'm going to say. So, so anyway, Assassin's Creed is set to make a return in 2017. So this time they have another installment. Apparently, it's the biggest ever. And it's going to have naval combat in it. So do you play much Assassin's Creed?
I played Black Flag, and then they haven't really had anything that's taken my interest since. So,
well, apparently this is going to be the biggest they've ever created. It's going to be huge in scope as well. So it's looking to come out fall of 2017. So I'm actually looking forward to this. That'd be really cool because I love the movie. I think that got me back into the Assassin's Creed franchise. But anyway, that was out. Blizzard, on more financial news, Blizzard's just absolutely killing it. Up 22% year on year and up 26% free cash flow. So their revenue increased a huge ton as well. So it looks like all their games are selling really well, PC gaming as well. But interestingly enough, a lot of the growth came from the mobile market. So a huge amount of growth came from the mobile market. And I guess that goes to show that maybe we should be branching into mobile gaming, Kev. What do you think? Hey guys, this smartphone game, awesome. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. You can just click some buttons on your smartphone. Okay.
I mean, it's always gonna do good because it's such a big market. But yeah, that ties into something else that's kind of sad, is that
what?
I really don't like gaming on a smartphone, to be perfectly honest.
I don't like it as well. I mean, that's what I mean when I contrast that to PC games. It's like, rather play PC games any day of the week.
Not even that, but compared to portable gaming systems, which obviously are sort of on the decline now, things like the Vita or the Nintendo DS. But it's still, by comparison, they just feel it just feels awful to game on a touchscreen. Like you wouldn't do that with a computer.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just not a big fan of it at all. But Yeah, it makes money. People do it. It's the main reason why it's making money is because it's people like your parents are the ones playing like mahjong or something on their phone, and they're and they're buying like the extra energy or whatever to keep playing when a lot of the games are like you can only play 5 games for free, then you need to pay because
Yeah. And then
they
there's
do
the
all that stuff.
Simpsons. The Simpsons. They had one. My brother used to play this one called The Simpsons, and you had to buy donuts or something. I don't even know.
And people buy it,
Oh,
and
dude,
that's
my
why it
brother,
makes so
spent
much
300.
money.
Yeah, my brother spent $300 on this game. I was like, what? How could you
And
spend
that's
$300
exactly
on a
right.
smartphone game? I was
I
blown
know,
away.
and that's it. That's
So,
it, and that's why. So I say it's the much older people and the very young people who are the ones using the weekly allowance or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I'll buy, like you were saying, more donuts, or they'll do something like that. So that's why it's making so much money, not because it's particularly good. It's just they make money. They're good
yeah.
at making money. The way it's set up is good for making money. But I hate it. I really despise that method of generating income.
Hey, man, at the end of the day, a fool is soon parted with their money. Just remember that. So
Yeah.
my brother's a fool. That's what I'm trying to say. $300 on a Simpsons game. So we got here Starcraft Gold Master source code. Man, someone bought an eBay auction apparently, and it had it was just a Blizzard pack, and he pulled this out of it, the Starcraft Gold Master source code. And now this is the weird thing. He went on Reddit and went, oh my god, what should I do? And people were like, oh, just release all the source code to everyone. No, he should have just kept this. He should have just kept it, and he could have sold it for literally thousands of dollars. Instead, he just messaged Blizzard and said, hey guys, I got this. I want to do the right thing. I want to give it back to you. And they sent him out a peripheral kit. Man, Blizzard got off so easy with this one, eh? Here's some games and some Razer stuff. I think Razer. Yeah, they just sent him out some peripherals that they probably had lying around the store. Oh yeah, what do we got here? Ah yeah, some one of the 10 Razer Black Widow keyboards we had for this event. Yeah, just package it all up in a deal and send it out to him, keep him happy. Oh, and Blizzard store credit as well. So that $250 Blizzard store credit. So honestly, this here Gold Master source code, man, he should have at least checked out what was on it and confirmed that it was the legit source code disk. And I think it is, because Blizzard responded wow, we want this back ASAP. And yeah, that would have been worth a lot more money than $250 store credit and some peripherals and a teddy bear.
The thing is, I think maybe he got scared because of legal trouble. I mean,
He hasn't
you'd
done
be
anything
running.
wrong. He hasn't done. He's just bought it off eBay. Consumer law. At least in Australia, man. At least in Australia, this guy would be innocent. He hasn't done anything wrong. He's just bought it. That's now in his hands. Whoever sold it to him is the one who's liable.
Yeah, it would be, but to use it, or I'm thinking in terms of copyright, though, wouldn't you be on?
He hasn't signed any
that's-
agreements with Blizzard. The thing is, it's wound up in his hands.
But
Unless
the
he's
disc says on it, this is registered, blah blah blah, trademark of.
yeah, you probably couldn't sell but you've got the disc, and the disc is worth a lot of money. It's just this is how collecting works, man. That would be a collectible. Wow, it'd be the collectible of PC gaming. I don't know.
It seems like something though that's though if you took something from a company, like a corporate espionage type situation, and you sold it, and then someone bought it and they just claimed they had no idea about it, that they didn't realize it was like those laptops that got stolen a while back, the gaming laptops from a Razer, I believe, and if you bought one of them and then Razer hits you up and be like, yo, this is actually a prototype, this is a copyright, blah blah blah, or whatever.
So you make them pay for it, man. You don't get $250 store credit. Blizzard could afford much. Look at that. Look, we just pulled up the Activision. Look at this. We just pulled this up. $300 million more profit.
So, someone in the chat also said receiving stolen goods is also illegal. So that if Blizzard said it was
This
take it.
wouldn't have been stolen. Like, man, there would have to be a police report back from when it was stolen and stuff. Like, it goes pretty deep. But at the end of the day, this guy sold himself out very cheap, man. Extremely cheap. That's worth more than 250
I think that was
bucks.
because he was scared, though, for legal reasons. That's what I personally take from it.
I don't know. I would have just kept on to this thing. It would have just been like, yeah, I got the original source code. Like, like that's worth a lot of money. Hey, I'm telling you now. Man, he sold himself cheap. That's all it is. He should have just said, look, I'll give it back to you, but I want to be rewarded for it. I know you guys
Well,
have just...
Blizzard also could have threatened him with a lawsuit and be like, hey, you either, hand this back and we'll give you all the stuff, or...
okay, then he gets in his car. Well, then he gets in his car then, and he does a, Gran Turismo. And we just make some epic drama.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, my opinion is he sold himself out very cheap for 250 bucks for picking up the source code of Starcraft. Like, that is crazy. And that would have been a disc worth a lot of money. Like, Gold Master source code. This is like the be all and end all of the source code as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have paid good money for that. Like, and then collected it.
Someone in chat said Brian equals hustler. Kev equals makes sense.
That's it, man. That's it. So that's what I mean. You got to hustle, man. Like, you swap that disc for like a brand new Ryzen system. This is what he could have done. Okay, before we move on to the next topic, he could have got this disc swapped for a brand new system, 1080 Ti, everything. We'll put that into perspective for Chemist 49. You could have got your brand new gaming rig, triple monitor setup out of this one disc that you picked up. Instead, you got some peripherals and a teddy bear. There we go. All right. Anyway, let's go. Steam gifting gets major changes that hurts resellers. So this is actually big news, right? I mean, a lot of guys like me, I buy my games off cdkeys.com or something like that. You get a few games when they come up cheap. And some of the times you get gifted those via Steam inventory. And so now Steam are changing the way you can do this. Instead, you if the country that you're getting gifted that gift from, if the price is substantially different, now what determines a substantially different price? I'd love to know. I'd say it'd be what would you say, 50% price differential? So if it's $60 in one country and $90 in the price parity pricing, so if the currency equivalent is like 50% more, I'd say that would be the stipulant. I don't know.
Yeah, this is, I think,
what would you say?
This seems reactionary from Valve, though.
Yeah, well, basically, the bottom line is they're stopping the gifts from being delivered between countries. Oops. They're stopping gifts from being delivered where the price difference is huge because they want to make more money, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So it's going to suck. Again, it's going to suck for Australians, yeah, because we pay a lot for games. We're probably the highest... New Zealand as well, Kev. Over here, we're down under. We pay a lot for games. And a lot more than pretty much every other country. I think we got one of the worst countries when it comes to actual game pricing. Hardware's not too bad, admittedly. Hardware isn't too bad.
Still, compared to the US, man.
Not a huge amount, dude. Like, some of those eBay sales are pulled up recently, and then you look at Umart, they're only a little bit more expensive than those sales. It's not that bad.
Brand new tech. New tech.
It's not too bad, like, at the moment anyway. At least on Umart and MSY, it's not too bad. The pricing.
Oh, it's pretty.
New Zealand's probably bad, yeah.
No, Aussie's pretty shocking with the games as well, because
that's what I'm saying. Games is
they
like
ban games like crazy in Australia. If you guys didn't know, like if a game's like too violent or too offensive, they just ban it in Australia. Where New Zealand doesn't do that.
Okay.
So
well, that's what I'm saying. The game pricing's out of control here.
Screwed.
Yeah, the game pricing's out of control here, and in terms of banning games, cool. Not cool, actually. Okay, anyway, GIFs. This is the news. GIFs. So I don't know what this is going to spell, how it's going to work exactly, but again, some of these CD keys might be, CD key stores might be in trouble. Maybe if you're buying off like cdkeys.com, you'll want to verify that it's actually a CD key and not a game, and it's available for your region. Of course, I find you can still get good deals. I mean, there's no problems with that. It's just it's going to limit the games in circulation that are available for cheap cheaper than you can get them retail. So that's just that on the news. So yeah. And we're not going to go into G2A. There's like a heap of G2A bashing on there. I mean, I don't really care. I don't buy from G2A anymore. So yeah.
Oh, I heard some mixed things coming about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I've heard it. Guys, the G2A bashing's been going on for years now, I think. So it's like, I'm sort of, yeah. Anyway, so Manli releases a GeForce GTX 1080 Ti, the Gallardo. So apparently, like I was researching the comments here, like apparently it's named after a bull in Spain or something, and that's where the Italians get the name for it. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's such a bizarre. No, it's like I bought a Manli. What's that? Manli Gallardo.
Yeah, that's it. You got a Manli Gallardo. Yeah, you got a Manli GTX 1080 Ti, dude. It's a Manli.
Sounds like you bought like a male prostitute or something. Like.
Well, it is, dude. I mean, it is your male prostitute for gaming. Let's be honest.
My Manli Gallardo.
Yeah, it's gonna be your. That's it. It's gonna be your personal prostitute for gaming at 1080. 4K.
I mean,
or 1440p ultra wide. So
it's not like we know what male prostitutes' names are like, hey, Brian.
Gallardo.
Yeah, we wouldn't have any idea what those are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a bizarre name. But that's actually not a very high boost clock either. 1645 is like, kind of, considering what the Aorus Extreme is like. What's that? 1750 out of the box, so that's like 100 megahertz up on that guy already.
It's just cool because I've never seen this graphics card brand before. Admittedly, I haven't. I mean, I know if people have heard of them before, and I haven't. Don't hate me, but I haven't heard of this brand. Have you heard of Manli before?
No.
So there we go. We got the Gallardo. It actually looks pretty cool. Like, I'm going to give them props. I like the look of this graphics card.
It looks like a WindForce 780 Ti. In a lot of ways, with the like translucent fans.
But it's got that cool like the metal shroud's kind of like it's borderline between like VeilSide and what was that other one that made the clean body kits like J West or something. Yeah, West body kit. So anyway.
Yeah.
All right. I can't. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there we go. Boost clocks, as Kev reported, they're not that high. They're not really nothing to be impressed about. Memory clocks. Do you even get memory clocks there? Oh yeah, no you don't. Okay, so don't even know about memory clocks either. So next on the news here, we got praise PC port isn't perfect, but it runs like a champ. So
yeah, quite a few people had mentioned this, that it's actually very good, very well optimized for a brand new game. Which is good to see. So that's good. Considering we had so many shockers lately.
Okay, so yeah, apparently it's still managing 100 frames per second on 1080p on the 980 Ti, so that's pretty good. I mean, it's looking like it'll have good performance. Looking forward to this game if it's well optimized for PC. So that's all I need to say. Have you heard about Prey much? I think it's...
You can buy it now, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's out. So, yeah, I don't play horror games, and it looks too scary for me, so I'll just watch a playthrough or ask my friends what to tell me about it. But yeah, because it looks a bit scary. I just can't handle horror games or movies. So
just play them during the day, bro. Play them during the day, and you'll be okay.
Oh, it doesn't.
You'll be safe, man. You'll be safe. No one's the boogie monster's not gonna get you, dude. You can come over here, and I can cuddle you too.
I just sit there with my eyes closed. I just can't handle it.
It's all right, man.
I don't enjoy it. I don't know, but the thing is, I don't. I know people get a thrill out of horror movies. I just don't enjoy being scared. I don't enjoy the feeling of being scared. I like watching interesting movies and action movies and documentaries and stuff. So I'd much rather watch that than a horror movie.
But if you are scared, dude, I can give you some cuddles. It's okay.
Oh man, but what about Manli Gallardo? He could give me all the cuddles.
Yeah, and Steve as well. Okay. All right. So next up here, the Tesla. We got here Tesla Model 3. You really wanted to talk about this, so you can take this away. Tell the viewers about the Tesla Model 3, which starts at $66,000 US, which is completely out of my league.
That's
Oh,
the Model
S.
S
Okay,
starts
Model
at
3.
the
Okay.
Model 3 will start at 30, well, they're 35,000 US, yeah. So
Yeah.
the we haven't talked about Tesla much on this. It's sort of something that I feel like I would be almost perfect and reviewing would be Tesla or electric cars in general because I have a bachelor's in automotive engineering, and I'm sort of pretty into tech as well. So yeah, this will be interesting. They're going to be selling Teslas in New Zealand very soon. There's already quite a few on the roads here. The Model S for a lot of people is too expensive because they cost about 100,000 New Zealand dollars, which means it's quite an, only very few people can actually afford it. So the Model 3 by comparison is going to be about half the price. So it's going to come in at about, we're hearing about 55,000 New Zealand, 60,000 New Zealand. So that'll be a lot more affordable to people, middle class people, upper middle class people especially, will actually be able to afford it, and the range will be quite good. In this article, basically Tesla's just saying that don't expect it to be like a Model S for half the price because it's not going to be. The range is going to be much more limited. Elon Musk himself, from what I've read, has said that the reduced range is not because Tesla can't make the cars have longer range. It's just because of the battery capacities. The batteries are very expensive, remember, that it'll end up costing so much more. But of course, just like the Model S, your Model 3 will have the different tiers of type you can buy. So the 35,000 US, that will be for the base model. And then you'll be able to get better models as you go up with more features and a bigger battery. So that will give it the longer range and everything else like that. So this looks like quite an interesting car, and it should be quite good. Then following this, you'll have the Model Y, which will then have the funny naming scheme because it'll spell out sexy. So that's quite funny that Elon did that. But yeah, this is looking at quite a good car, and it's what I've been saying for a while. Even if you don't care about the environment, these cars are good because you'll just save money. Like how much it costs to power it is so much less than a gasoline car. So even if you just you stand on daisies and you just don't care, man, like it's still good, and that's exactly the right mentality to have. You have to make these electric cars cool. You have to make them appeal to people that aren't environmentalists, that just don't care about that stuff, who just buy them because they're a cool car, or people that just want to save money. And that's how you do it. And they are cool cars. So yeah, I look forward to it, and I think I would try buy a Tesla at some point in the future if once the Model 3. The prices will come down once the Gigafactory is completed in Nevada. They'll be able to produce many more batteries than they currently can. And so with the, what's it called?
Do you want to know
The
what's cool?
scaling. What's that?
My Holden Astra. That's cool.
That's pretty cool. Although
Yeah,
you
thanks,
are an
man.
Aussie, so you have to buy a Holden. But what's the economies of scale? That's what it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
as they produce more, and
Mm.
make the batteries faster and cheaper on a bigger scale, then you'll see those prices come down. So if you're still one of these people that thinks, like many people my age, in their mid 20s, or Brian's age, so in their mid 30s,
I'm not mid
you
30s,
would.
bro. I'm only 30, man. Come on. Yeah, it's
Oh,
still
I
another
thought you.
5 years,
I
bro.
thought you were 37.
No.
So,
Cheapest stab ever.
but that will start to come down to the price that we might be able to think about buying it. Say like 40,000 New Zealand dollars. I mean, you could get that on finance, and that's not going to be a killer. So that would be very good as well. So 35,000 New Zealand as well. Many of these other countries, like the US, I know in California, and I think New Zealand will start doing it. I know some of those Northern European countries, they have these incentives to make you buy electric cars. Like they'll give you rebates, or they'll give you whatever to help you buy the cars as well. So if you live in one of those countries, it'll end up costing less. I think in California it'll drop below 30,000 US with all the incentives you can get along with it. So it's pretty good, man. Like a brand new electric car, like a nice car for like say 28,000 US. That's a hell of a deal.
See, before, dude, you called me a hustler before, and you know the one rule of a hustler, especially with cars, you never buy a new car.
That is true, because they do lose a lot. But
As soon as you walk out of the dealership, bro, you lost $5,000.
but at the same time, it's if you quite a few people in my family have recently, within the last 2 years, bought brand new cars. And the reason why in New Zealand is a lot of times these dealerships will give you, say Mitsubishi, will give you a 10-year warranty, which is pretty good. So in that aspect, if you own the car for quite a long time, say 5 years or 10 years, it can actually work out to be quite good then, all things considered. But yeah, this is quite interesting. Also, you might want to refresh the questions page, Brian, because I posted the link at the start. So if
Okay.
other people have chimed in, but yeah, we'll get to Q&A then.
Okay. Do you want to move on to? Okay, we're going on to Q&A now. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So this is what we got here. Hey guys, Humanaut. He asks, "How's it going? Looking to build a new or upgrade my new home theater PC. Looking to keep it small. Smaller the better footprint. Currently, he has a G3258 H97M MATX board, 8 GB of DDR3 memory, an RX 460, and an 80 plus bronze rated 500 watt Rosewood power supply. He hates the SG11B. That's the Silverstone case." The case, well, the good news is the case doesn't affect performance. So you hate it, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect performance of this. So if you're asking me about this, like price performance wise, that's a great little home theater PC you already have. I mean,
I don't see what's wrong with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to upgrade here, because it looks like it's going to do the job for what you need it to do absolutely fine. Like RX 460, I'm pretty sure that graphics card will play 4K movies absolutely fine. So
no worries at all, man.
So, I mean, like, there's nothing here that'll be a hiccup. I mean, older games, 3258's perfect for that. Like, perfect. Match made in heaven. So, you don't really need to put anything into it, bro. Just put your 400 euros in your pocket and look forward to the future until you need something else to put that money towards.
Yeah, I would just say save it and then build up, and then when you want to build a newer, bigger rig, maybe you want to upgrade everything, go to high resolution display and stuff, then start build a new one from the ground up and make that a super powerful one. But in the meantime, that one looks solid. So
question number 2, what cartoons did you guys watch growing up? I loved Ren and Stimpy. Oh man, I watched Ren and Stimpy. That was awesome. Stimpy, you idiot. I remember that one. That was pretty cool. There was also the other, like Transformers, man. I grew up on that. That was like religion to me. Love Transformers. There was I remember there was this old one called Techno Man. That was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah, that was a really cool anime. I used to watch that one as a kid. So I don't know if anyone remembers that one. It was called Techno Man, something like that. So, what about you, Kev? What cartoons did you watch?
I didn't. I watched Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon and quite a few other things. But I didn't really like them to. I don't really remember getting really into any cartoons really heavily until I sort of got a bit older. I guess the only one I started watching, trying to watch every single one, was Family Guy when that first started, and that was really funny, especially back when I first
Family
started
Guy
watching
was
it, man.
amazing.
That was like,
yeah,
it was really, because I tried watching South Park for the longest time and I never really got into the humor. But when Family Guy came out and I started watching that, I really did like that, and I thought that was really funny. So because Family Guy's been going a long time, guys. Like, it started way back in the day, and it's changed a lot over that time too. But yeah, that was really good. And then it got cancelled and everyone cried for ages. And then it came back and everyone was happy. All right,
so Dragon Kurt, he asked the next question. Hi, I was using the B350GB Gaming 3 for the VRMs. Also, I was using hardware info software for the VRM temps. Okay, so yeah, Gaming 3 B350 is okay. It's a nice little board. I think I've got one here. I've got to check it out more though. I think it's got a heatsink on there, so it just yeah, maybe get a fan on those if you're worried about the VRM temps, like I did in my video. Just actually get a fan and stick it onto the VRM. Like, it'll be a bit ghetto, it'll look pretty bad, but hey, it'll drop the VRM temps for you. So also his CPU, the R7 or the Ryzen 7 1700 pin is broken off when he took the CPU out, and it fell onto his GPU, so that's when it broke off. He's wondering, does any of you both know an email so I can contact them? If you dropped it and it fell onto the GPU, dude, that's your own mistake kind of thing. Like, you can't, like, I mean, I would message the retail channel you're going through. Like, I do have a contact for ANZ, but I wouldn't message them, because that's like, I don't know, dude. That's, yeah, if you drop the CPU yourself and the pin broke off, that's your own fault. Like, that's the risks that come with building your own computers. You know, as much as I don't recommend going out and buying a pre-built system, these are the risks that come with PC building. And so if you drop the CPU, unfortunately, man, you're gonna have to maybe just, I don't know, contact the retailer and say, hey, is there anything you can do for me? And hopefully they can help you out. You can stick the pin back on. I mean, if you've got the pin, you can like put it in the actual socket where it broke off, and then put the CPU in, and it should be okay. Like, it should still work. So
it's pretty generally it's easier if you bent the pin, you can bend it back, and you still, you know, that'll be okay. But yeah, if it broke off, it means it's a bit more. Yeah,
it is tricky. Yeah, it is tricky. But I'd be doing it. That's 320 US CPU, man. I'd be trying, you know, everything. Like, I'd be dripping some liquid metal paste in that socket as well, and be like, turn on.
Yeah.
And then once it turns on, you just never touch it again. It's just one of those things you just never touch again. That's how generally when you get stuff like that working, you just never touch it again. Because it works again. Next question. Should I spend $225 on QHQG and good board, or $280 for Ryzen 5 1500X and board, gaming only? So that's the total cost, like $225 on the QHQG and the board. If you can get that combo, that'll be pretty good. Very good. I'd go with the QHQG combo personally, because it's, yeah, $55 cheaper. That's if it's the whole combo. If it's just the CPU, that's a ripoff. Yeah, I'd personally go for the QHQG. How about you, Kev?
I'd just get the Ryzen 5 1400 instead of the 1500X.
Yeah, that's
save some money and get a board with that, and probably just go with that. You'll be just fine. Just overclock the 1400 up to 3.8, 3.9, and that thing will haul. You can do it on a stock cooler as well. It will get pretty toasty, as I showed in my video where we compared the Spire to the Stealth. But the Stealth still does a pretty good job. It's actually wider than the Spire cooler, even though it's not as thick. So, yeah, you can overclock it just fine. I managed to overclock still with the Stealth. It's getting pretty toasty, though, getting close to 90 degrees. But that's fine. They throttle at 95, so if they run in the high, or if they run in the 80s, that's okay. It's not a big problem.
So next question, we got Icebergs. He wanted to ask if I ever figured out the how to get games. Some games ran like crap with dual Xeons, and that was right. Yes, they did. There is only one extra trick that I have found and stumbled upon, and that's the CPU ID limited in the BIOS settings. So you enable that, and some games can actually boot up. I don't know about testing the games for smoothness, but F1 2016, when I was doing that comparison of the dual Xeons versus the Ryzen CPU versus the Intel 7700K, I couldn't boot up F1 2016. Like, I just couldn't boot it up. And then I went back in the BIOS, changed the limit CPU ID setting, enabled it, which it recommends disabling for Windows XP, but Windows XP is ancient anyway. So I did that, and the game booted up. GTA 5, it just wouldn't boot on my dual Xeon rig. I have to, enable CPU affinity only to one CPU. So I wouldn't even know how it would run on 2 CPUs because I can't even get the game to run on 2 CPUs. Other than that, a lot of the games that I tested, yeah, like Doom and BF1, they ran really well on those Xeons. A lot of the games ran absolutely fine, just the frame rates were behind. Tom Clancy's The Division, that ran extremely well on those dual Xeons. I was shocked at how well that thing ran on that game is really well optimized. So, yeah, I mean, dual Xeons, they can have problems from time to time, but limiting the CPU ID and the BIOS, that's a recommendation to do. So the last question we got here, I'm looking to downsize to a mid-tower, possibly the NZXT S340 Elite. Nice case. But then only be able to have my 280mm all-in-one cooler as air intake for the case. Would this be enough air for the 1080 Ti MSI Gaming X? Yes, as long as you've got an exhaust fan. So you want to put it at the front and have the CPU cool. It depends on the CPU as well. If it's a 4-core, yeah, 280mm rad will actually be bringing cold air into the case. So as long as you've got an exhaust fan, it should be fine, absolutely fine. Yeah, I'd say yes. What about you, Kev?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. I think people oftentimes, it's more about just getting the air in there rather than like it doesn't necessarily have to be that super cool air. As long as it's getting in there, that should be fine. Remember, when you're gaming as well, most games that wouldn't push the CPU much, so you'll be fine. The temps won't be particularly high, so the cooler, that air won't be super hot when it's coming in. The GPU will be running much hotter by comparison, so that will be. But yeah, you'll need. Is he saying there's going to be no exhaust? There'll only be the 280 as an intake.
It's actually funny because speaking of games that stress the CPU and GPU, I've been using Crysis now for the to check power consumption, and it's like that game. It's like, I don't know what it is, but it utilizes your GPU and CPU to the max, and you get a really good indication of what games can consume from the wall in terms of power consumption. But Mafia 3 actually might beat it. I've got to go back and double check. But Mafia 3 might actually be the game that juices the CPU and GPU at the same time the most. That game's insane.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the case. Yeah, you should be fine if you had those fans, the single fan in the top, that 120, and another fan in the back. If you have those two as exhaust, you'll be just fine having that. The 280mm rad in the front, those dual 140s, that will be just fine as long as it's getting that air exhausted out the back. So you just make sure you have those two exhaust fans in, and no worries.
Okay, so we're going to wind down the show now. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We'll be having episode 26's Q&A on the website, techcity.tv. Make sure you go check it out. And, of course, I'll put the link for Kev's channel in the description below. Go check that out as well. And any closing statements, Kev?
No, guys. Just head over to my channel if you want to see more Ryzen showdowns. We're going to have as I said, the 1600X versus 6800K showdown. That'll be going up very soon. And then also I will be doing a Ryzen roundup kind of comparison and review where I talk about basically the whole Ryzen 7 and Ryzen 5 lineup and which CPUs I like, which ones I would recommend within the both lineups, and who I think they would be most applicable for. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next sort of week and a half.
Stimpy, you idiot. Okay, anyway. All right, guys, we're going to catch you next week. Thanks for tuning in and watching. And, yeah, if you got any questions as well, drop them in the comment section too. And we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out for now. Bye.